the west, he sees the Plains of Armageddon, he sees the Mount Carmel, and on a very clear day, there's even a chance that he can see the Mediterranean, which is right there.
Oh, okay.
He is at the mountains of the Galilee, looking into Mount Carmel, and in between, that's the Valley of Armageddon, the Plains of Armageddon. Down there, there's that chocolate cake I was talking about. That archaeological site of the city of Jokneam. And there's a modern city of Jokneam. And looking now further to the right. Oh, it's very hazy today, wow.
Yeah, it really is.
Those mountains are the mountains of Gilboa. Gilboa mountains are where Saul and Jonathan and his other son fell on their swords, fighting the Philistines. All right? In that direction, there's also the city of Beit-Shan. And looking in this direction, you see nothing. But you have to take my word for it. There's another hill there, which is called the Moreh Hill. Moreh Hill is mentioned when the Bible tells us about Gideon fighting the Midianites. Gideon gathered his troops at the foot of Mount Gilboa, and he took them to the little spring, and those who licked the water like dogs were chosen to the armies, right? And then once he has those 300 soldiers that he picked up, he goes on attack on the Midianites. He takes them by surprise at night. And where do they station? They station at the foot of the Moreh Hill. That's what the Bible says. Now you see there's an airfield. That's a watch out Ahmadinejad. And now we talk about Elijah. You see the statue of Elijah there with the sword in his hand? That's a statue to Elijah, and you see below his feet there's a Baal prophet there. See the head of his... Right? Now it was not, according to the Bible, it was not done here, the execution. It was done at this little green stream. You see there's a green line in the fields? That's the brook of Kishon. The Bible tells us that after the fire came from heaven and consumed the altar built by Elijah on Mount Carmel, he orders to get hold of all the Baal prophets. He takes them down to the brook of Kishon, and that's where he cuts their throats. He slays them, is that a word? Slay, yeah. So this is the Plains of Armageddon, stretching more or less from northwest to southeast. And the mountain in this direction, those are the mountains of Samaria. If you go down to the south, you get to the mountains of Judea, along the Judean wilderness, and to Jerusalem, which is more or less this direction. And then at the end of the story, after the story with the Baal prophets ends, Elijah calls his little servant and says to him, go and have a look. Look at the sea. Is there anything coming there? And he goes and looks and says, there's nothing. So he sends him again. Is there anything now? He says, no, nothing. I don't remember how many times he sent him. 7 times, okay. I guess so, yeah. And at the 7th time, the little boy or the young boy comes back and says, yes, I can see one cloud at the size of a palm of a hand. And Elijah says, well, let's go. It's the end of the drought. And that was the end of the famine in Israel. So it all happened here. We're standing on top of the roof of a Carmelites monastery. Carmelites are Catholics. It's one of the orders of the Vatican, under the rule of the Vatican. They preserve traditions connected with Mount Carmel, Elijah the prophet and so forth. Strangely enough, the city of Carmel in California, I was traveling there, and all of a sudden I see a nice monastery, which reminded me of monasteries from back home. So I knocked on the door. A priest opens and starts chatting to me. I told him I'm from Mount Carmel, the real one. And he says to me, yes, we are also Carmelites. Wow. And I guess the name of the city is after that monastery.
Wow.